So I'm finally ready to start trying to do this quickie tutorial again on a dog's mouth with soft pastel and pastel pencils. I'm going to use the soft pastels. There's 64 in the box and they cost just over £10 when I bought these for the group. And then I'm going to move on to using the Conti Paris pastel pencils. I think that these were, I can't remember, there's 48 in the box and I think that they were around about, I'm guessing £30. Could be as much as 40, wasn't as little as 20, but they were the cheapest ones I could find and give the widest range of colours for beginners on a budget. And quite often a lot of us want to do art, and when we look at the cost of the materials, it's really hard to get going. You don't know what to buy, you don't know what to spend your money on, you're frightened of wasting your money because they are quite expensive. Now, none of these are top quality materials, but if you're a real beginner, you don't have the skills, the muscle memory, the ideas about what you're doing. So some artists would advise get a little bit, 1 or 2 bits of the top quality and start there. I go the opposite way. I'd get some of these and really sort of build your skills up, because when you've got the muscle memory and when you swap up to the better ones later on, you can produce really good pieces of work. So here we go. I'm using the white. I am just going to block some of that around the muslin and the nose, just to give us some context, and you can always carry that on at home. I'm just using the side of the pastel, getting a rough bit of white in there. Quite a white muzzle. There's obviously some darker bits in there at the end, but this is just really rough blocking in here. There's a bit of a sort of a pinky browny colour in here, which can go in as well, and it's a little bit more browny than that. Stick some of that in with it. That's very quickly done. On the nose we've got some brown, so I'm going with a dark brown. I'll go with some pinky colour as well. In there is the black nostril. In that shape there. In that shape there. That's all the black nostril. I'll just grab a bit of this brown down. I'll go over with this pinky colour. I'll get my Q-tip wherever I've put it. Here we are. And I will just blend out this white. I'm just going to use this big flat end, just pushing it into that paper. I would obviously do a lot more on that if I had the time, but I don't know whether we will get the time to go back, so I'm really trying to keep these short, like when you come over here for your sessions. A bit of that pinky brown then, so just flipped over my Q-tip. I'll use the pointed end then, or up here, just get a quick bit of shape there. And here. Just rub those in, grab some black. Get the nostrils. Very rough again. I would go over these if I was leaving them just soft pastel. I would take more care, but this is not where the focus of this tutorial is. This tutorial is focusing on the mouth at the bottom. So I'll just blend this again. Mainly just to take off the loose pastel here, because I don't want a load of loose pastel sitting in here, dropping down. So now we've got a very rough nose, very rough muzzle, and we're going to be moving down to working on the mouth. Now in the mouth I can see, or not see should I say, quite a lot of dark browny, greyy, bluey colours. I did have a reference photograph to work from a few minutes ago. I don't know what I've done with that now. How strange am I? Okay, so I'm just looking at the mouth, and actually the reference photograph's a complete bust because it just looks jet black in the mouth, and I know that that won't be the case. So I'm going to pop some, I'm going to use some soft pastel just on the tongue, and I am going to put some of the dark brown in that we've just used up at the top. That's not the dark brown that I was using. I don't know where I've put that one. I'll use the dark brown. This inner line here is sort of the outer edges of the dark, but the dark will extend out into the pinky bits of the tongue we can see. So into that I am going to pop a little bit of a darkish blue. I'm going to pop a little bit of a purpley colour. And I'm going to pop a bit of black. Especially at the back there, that is going to be where it's the darkest, because it's underneath that lip. And in the middle, and forwards, because that won't have so much light. Okay, so I'm going to move over to pencils at this point for the rest of this. I'll just have a little drink. I'll be right back with you. This is a short announcement. Lindsay has an important message. Okay, thanks for bearing with me. So I'm going to take, we're very limited in our colours in this, as we know. So I'm going to take 2 pink pencils, one very vivid, one a bit paler, and I'm going to pop some out here, working it into that tongue area. This piece here is a tooth, so I don't really want any pink in there. Out here we'll be coming back to some darker browns, so the pink will blend nicely. we want to just keep getting that pink going in, holding my pencil quite far back. Just laying on some pastel. This is another tooth here. So that's some of the pink started now, looking very violent and vivid. Pop some of this paler one over the top, just pushing it into that darker area a little bit, doing it very lightly, holding my pencil quite a way back, about halfway maybe back. It was light. Pulling a bit of that darker into those edges. So that's that basic outline of the tongue, although I've probably drawn it a bit wrong because it actually goes in here a bit darker. So we've got that first outline down very quickly. I'm going to work some more on that centre bit of the tongue where it's dark. I wish we had a lovely navy blue, but we do not. So I'm going to use pastel number 22, and I'm going to put some, because I just think that we'll need the tones, we'll need the variations of the colour. I'm not going right to the back because that's going to be quite dark there underneath that lip. So I'm just popping a bit more in. Getting more pastel on really. I don't want one flat colour. So that was that colour, and then there's quite a nice dark grey, pastel 42, just clean down a little bit again, pastel 42, over the top, still holding my pencil at least halfway back. When you go over with these greys, you can still see the other colours. So now I look like I've got that line down the centre of the tongue coming. Into play a little bit. And it's not really visible in the photograph from what I can see, but I've got a really rubbish reference here, so I'm guessing, because tongues normally have that line down. And I'll pull it out a little bit into these pinks. It's quite a browny grey. So that's that one. Just clean off that pastel that I've smudged down again. And I'm going to just lighten up around that tongue bit with the pastel fleshy colours, which is, that's the dark one, and that's the paler one. I'm going to start with the dark one, which is pastel 49. and I am going to work some in and around here. Now this bit goes up, the tongue is tucked around that tooth, so I'm putting a right light little bit of that in there, which will define that tooth for me. The sides are still a bit darker, but now we've got those darks down. Now this is where we need to keep cleaning off our lighter coloured pastel. So I'm going to go over that dark bit, and then we need to clean it off again. And the tongue's rolling up and around that tooth. And going back down again. Still cleaning. Still cleaning. These are all just initial layers, just initial mappings out of what we're doing. Just laying some colours down to get some richness and depth. So I've got this orangey colour going in there now. And I'm going to bring just a bit of this lighter one. And I'll have to go backwards and forwards and work this several times with a variety of colours. I'm just trying to get some shape here to the tongue. That lighter bit on the outside shows that the tongue's curling up, and it's where it's collecting the light. And then go to those deeper tones as it's dipping back down into the middle and the centre of the tongue. Rolling up there, up to that tooth. And right around the edge of it. And I think we can start to see now, we can just start to see some shapes of that tongue coming together. Now, I would like to use a blue colour, but the blue colour here is very, very light. It's Pastel 56, or it's very, very bright Pastel 29. So I'm going to skip that, and I'm going to go over, and I'm going to take the browny reddy colour, Pastel 31. Not got much left on this, it wants sharpening. But I'm going to pop some of this in now. Still holding my pencil well back. Very lightly on these edges, going into the dark, turning the pencil around. That just going in, and a little bit more to build up the colours of that tongue, but still wanting to see some of those other colours coming through underneath. I'm going to take a break for a sec, and I am going to sharpen that pencil. back now with that pencil with it a bit more pastel exposed. We use this colour an awful lot when we're doing things with animals, dogs especially. It's a well used colour. So I've added a bit of that in, and I still want more pinkies, but I'm gonna, instead of going with such violent pinks, I'm gonna put a bit of this. It's kind of a reddy orange, and it's pastel number 3, and I'm going to blend some of this now on these edges. We can always come back with some more light afterwards. We can always come back with some more dark afterwards. We can do whatever we feel that we need to do next to get the effect of this too. So I'm kind of trying to, this is sort of how it curls out, and then it'll be tipping over, those teeth will be underneath there, and it'll be tipping over the top. So I'm looking for that as I'm doing this. Here it's curving around that tooth, so I'm looking for that to curve around, to craft a curve, carve a curve, whatever terminology takes our fancy this week. I'm going back over this side where it goes in and around that tooth. Add a little bit more depth of colour back here. And as I say, we're very limited for colours with these pencils, but we can achieve a look. We can use these to help train us to look for things and see what it is that we want, where we want to go darker, lighter, etc. I'm going to take a bit of black now because I want to make sure that I'm getting those contrasts correct, and I'm going to put some of that black up at the top there where it hits that lip. And down the centre, turning my pencil slightly here. It's not a very blacky black. I'm not that bothered, I'm just trying to create an illusion of the centre of the tone. Backwards and forwards and blending it. Lightening it off that pencil, not pressing hardly at all as I come out. Very gritty and crumbly are these pencils as well. So now we've got some dark put back, just take off that excess, and I want something sort of browny orangey between where I've done the red and transition from the red to the pale. So I'm going to put some pastel number 7. I'm going to go in at this top up here. I'll probably come back in there with some pinky fleshy colours over the top of that. Still trying to keep those shapes around that tooth. I don't want to cover up what I've put down. I'm just trying to make transitions between all the colours all of the time. So we have several colours on there now in the tongue, and we want some more pink. So I think for my pink, to get the pink that I want, I'm going to use pastel number 38 and pastel back to the fleshy colour 38 and 48. Just nice and gently. Blending those colours together a little bit. Not trying to cover them up, because the tongue will have textures. So now we've got that one in, I'm going to go back in with the pastel 48. Just clean off that pastel there. Pastel 48. Got a lighter edge going on here. Bit of lightness down there. Goes darker up round the tooth. Starts again maybe here. Move my grip up on my pencil. I'm still going very lightly. Taking out to the tongue edge now to create that dipped in shape where it's coming up and just resting over the top of the teeth. And we can add some more to that if you want to, because we can get up with a lighter colour still over this. We could put some cream in, we can put some white in. This one's darkening up here and shaping in more. When I put this dark in for the mouth, this one's shaping in more. I put it for those lips. This comes up to about here. I've actually gone out a bit far there, I think. So when I put those dark lips in, I'll put that back. Can't really see what's going on over there at all, so I won't worry too much. I'll just do what I think. And so I think we've got the start of a tongue. I will probably come back and put some more lights in there. I'm just going to add a little bit of a creamy colour. Just right on that edge. So now I'm going to move on to those, that kind of darky, mottledy strangeness of the lips. They can be freckled, they can be wet, they can be dry, they can have things stuck to them quite often, dogs' mouths. So I'm going to start with a grey, that dark grey colour that we were using before, pastel 42. I'm going to start with that, and then I'll work up with some brown. very lightly. That bit there is more fleshy again. Our darks on this are kind of going like that, and this comes back with some more fleshy colour. And this comes round the bottom of the tooth. Haven't put that tooth in yet. But I thought those of us who have the nice Caran d'Ache white pencils might find them extremely useful. For that. Some pinky colour coming down here again. In that little shape on the tongue that and I'll blend that out again with some other colours. Can't really see anything on what it is that I'm supposed to be working on, so I'm guessing a lot here. And part of that reason why I won't be able to see anything is because, as usual, I'm sat here in the bright light with the reactor light glasses on, and they're all dark on me. All dark as anything. So we've got some dark in there. We want some more at this outside here. So I'm just stopping to look now to see what I'm looking at. Now I've got some different glasses on, and I think I want to come all back round this area with some browny colours. So I'm popping that one away, and I'm going with the pastel number 1. I nearly said 100 then. And I'm going over it all where I've put that dark grey in. Adding to the browny colour up here. under that area, over here, pushing into where those pinks are going to be. I've got the pinky browns, so you've got like the blacky grey browns, and then we've got the pinky browns forming the shape on this mouth. So I'm rubbing that brown, holding my pencil up quite close but shading it very lightly. I'm not cleaning it off because I'm quite happy to be moving around some of these colours at the minute. Colours. Kind of looking at how the lips are coming out this way, making some strokes go this way and that way and down this way. So with what I can see, because I can only see shapes on the reference that I keep glancing at. So from what I can see, that is what I've got, and it needs some pinking, needs darkening up a bit more again. But just this dark on its own, although it does define the area, it wouldn't be right, it would just look flat. And on the top of that tooth where it's sticking into that tongue. So now we've got some pinky browns again into there, so I'm going to get a layer down of Pastel 38, and then it'll need some of those brownies pulling into it, and it'll need some creams and flesh colours. And some of the white from the fur around here comes into it as well. And it'll be picking up the reflected from it. So I'm just getting a very light amount down. Yeah, very bright are these colours. Not easy when you want to use subdued things, I must admit, but we shall manage. We are building muscle memory. And as we gradually expand our pencil collection, we'll be able to bring better colour mixtures into it. So I'm going to try and cool that down a little bit, and I'm going to use the pale grey. I would like to use a blue, but I just think that the so just offer those colours. So I'm going to use this pale grey just to soften that and cool it down a little bit. I'm not going to clean my pencil much. If at all. I'm holding it about maybe a third back, and then just lightly creating some of those shapes and textures in that lip line. Pencil needs sharpening, there's not enough pastel really out on it, so I'll just go a bit further around and then I'm take a sec and just go and sharpen this one up, because I'm almost positive it's something that we're going to need again. So I'll just take a sec and pop some extra sharpening on this one. See that we've got some of this and coming in around here. This is quite wisping off from the mouth, from the muzzle. It's quite blurred and indistinct. Need some more darks in here, so I'll bring some back down. So I'm going to come back with some more brown now, and I will literally be just going backwards and forwards like always with everything. Bit of this, bit of that, keep adjusting, keep looking, keep trying to see what it is that I can see, what's behind, what's in front, where the shapes are, where it wants to be a bit lighter, where it wants to be a bit darker. Still seems to be recording okay. The trouble that I was having before was that every time I moved it stopped recording, and then I wouldn't notice and I'd come back and start work again, and then it'd be such a big gap. You'd be thinking, how on earth did she get from here to there? What's she been doing while she's been off camera? Want some darker in again in a sec. Just putting this warmer, richer colour in. I've taken that tongue too far up there, look now. So I need to just, I'm just going to grab that light coloured pink. I'm just going to kind of very gently, I don't want to get rid of that dark line. It's quite taking the dirt off the end of my pencil there. I think that wants to be a bit pinkier, so I'll just bring that darker one. I think it might want some even more of some of those brighter colours that we were using. Just over. On top of that. And back maybe with some more light in a sec. I want that dark line to be there, but I want it to be behind. I don't want it to be at the front. And that's how I achieve that. I didn't have it in to start with, I put it in, and then I've worked backwards and forwards over it until I've got it looking like it's in there, but it's behind. There's still the skin going over the top of it, and it could do with a bit of that darker grey colour. The right pencil, just pulling over here a bit. I don't know if that is the right one actually. I'll come back to that. It's here. Just put the pencil back in the wrong place. So, I'm now going to just puff this off a bit again where I've reworked it, and I'm going to carry on by darkening up a bit, and I'm going to go back with that dark pencil. That's what I was going to do next. I think that's where I'd gotten up to before I went off to do something else. So I'm trying to darken areas and leave lighter bits in between as well now, so I'm going quite lightly with this. I'm not doing it in all the areas, I'm putting light touches here, a bit heavier touches there. But it's all to create this shape of this lip. Coming out and down. It's just got a bit drafty now. I'll just close the door. One of these days I'll sit still while I'm doing something. I don't know when that will be. It's something that's on my bucket list. Sit still all the way through a movie. Sit still while you're doing a piece of art. I wonder if I'd ever notice if I did sit still for that long. I think I'd notice when I stood up again. The only thing, I've taped this to the board so that this paper's not bouncing up and down, because I find that really infuriating. I've taped it straight to the easel, and it's I like to actually be able to move my drawing up and down depending on which bit I'm working on. So I've got hold of my pencil quite close up. Keep going towards the screen so I can show you instead of towards the camera, but I'm still doing it very lightly. I'm just working backwards and forwards very lightly. To build up some textures. This pencil also wants sharpening. I don't know. I don't know who keeps using him in between my demos. I think we're going to have a whole sharpening lesson coming on, ladies. I can feel it. I think you guys, I think that'll have to go on your next thing for your what to buy list. A craft knife, a good solid craft knife, so that you can do your sharpening as you go. You must be having to sharpen at home, I would think. My poor old thumb took a right beating last week. I don't know what was happening. I think they were swapping from pencils to pencils, and I'd probably left them unsharpened from when I'd used them. Then I was handing them out to you, but before you could use them, I had to sharpen them for you. So that's looking quite like that lip now. Some pinks which need to go back in. There's going to be some whiter, lighter colours coming in from this edge here. I'm going really lightly here, so it's hardly putting anything on at all. And it'll want some more pink in, it'll want some whites in, those white teeth need to go in. This wants that other grey, pastel number 33. It's not the lightest grey, that's the lightest grey, that's the medium, and then we've got that other darker one. And we want some of this in here. A little fold in the lip. It maybe wants some highlights adding. Working certain areas, not putting it all over. Not really cleaning my pencil constantly, but still cleaning it a bit. And when you look at that, you've got to realise that when you do a dog's mouth on a full portrait, people focus on the mouth, the nose, the eyes, the ears. So it has to have some textures, it has to have something to make it look like a mouth. I'm going back with some of this darker one again now. And I am going to stop and sharpen it. I need more pastel than that to work with. Okay, so it did it again. I can't see at what point it stopped. I've just set it off recording again. So now I don't know how long we've been at it or anything. I'll just keep going a bit longer. I really do like to try and stick to within that hour and a half, because it's all that you get by the time we've stopped you, talked to you, and done all the things that we do in between. All the times I come along and interrupt you. You don't actually get much more than an actual, probably about an hour and a half of drawing time, I don't think. So I really would have liked to have kind of stuck to that, but I'm a bit stumped now because I don't know how long's on the recording clock. I'm going to pop some of that lighter grey and a bit of that pinky that I've been using here. Just coming out down here a bit. And some of this darker one coming in here. A little bit more pinky and lighty colour kind of going somewhere up there. A bit more of this dark in the middle of that. So that's quite a texture going on there. We've got some more light coming out here over the top. That's actually a bit darker under there, and that comes across and joins this in here. And then we have a little bit of that coming out from there. Once that other fur was in, you've got a bit of dark here. Get that other fur in down there. So all around from here. Pinks and dark greys and browns and lots of lovely colours. So I'm just keeping going, backwards and forwards. Light adjustments, very light touches. Nothing at all heavy. So now from there, there's those two white teeth to go in. There's some more whitey lighty coloured fur coming out from the mouth down here. There's a shadow line there. There's creamier down underneath here. This is quite nice and white coloured. And we go up to the more creamy colour around the mouth again. That's where it gets discoloured with drinking and eating. Got a line in there. I'm just putting these in lightly because we're not working on that, but it helps you to inform and set off your mouth edge. I'm just doing this with some soft pastel to start with. In and around that mouth edge. Lots of different tones want to be in there again. Wants blending out really with a Q-tip. doing a bit the same really. What's behind, what's in front. And there'll be a bit of grey colour. That's the shadow off the edge of that muzzle, greying down here. And off the edge of that lip, there is some pink and some browny colours coming in. And so I'll grab the Q-tip again, and I haven't really got a clean spot on it. And there, I've got a packet here, so I'll grab a clean one and I'll work that. Lighter colours. To give an effect of the fur. Got enough pastel on down there, but never mind. It's only for an effect. So that just gives an effect. What we can do is we can pull a white pencil and go around and put some, I'll just use this for these teeth. Although really we should be using the very luxurious Caran d'Ache one. And I will, all the pencils are stuck to my fingers, I've maybe been grabbing them a bit hard. If I was doing the other bit, these whiskers, these wispy bits that come over the edge would be going in last. If I was going to do this. I don't know how long I've been with it stopping, so I'm probably maybe carrying on a bit longer than you'll have. But these over the edge of the mouth here, they need a curve on them, and I go several times over the same area. I don't try and get them in with just one, put my pencil down and make a stroke. They look too stiff and unnatural. And I know I haven't done the furring up at the top, but I just wanted to show you those strokes there for how. But you mustn't put your pencil back with dark colours on it. This is where you need to be cleaning off all the time. Every time you come over that dark bit, clean off your pencil. Keep that curve on it. Several times over the same area for these sharp tufty bits. I'll be back just 1 second. So that's how I'd continue that bit on all the way through, looking at where the lines are, where the wisps are, where the fur's growing from. I'd deepen up in here in some of the colours. This appears to be quite long and wispy at this side. It's coming down quite a lot. I haven't got enough pastel on here really to be going over the top of this, but just to show you what effect you need to be looking for if you take this piece home and work on it, because we're nearly at the stage where you're ready to start on your own what you want to do. Dog possibly first. I've just put some dirty marks on there, talking away, not wiping my pencil, exactly what I tell you not to do. I don't know what else, I don't know really how much more I should keep doing, because I don't know how much time you will have. But this is quite blendy and blurred here, and you can just use your white pencil to get that effect on the edge of the mouth, on the edge of that lip. I'm wiping my pencil off a lot here because I've got a lot of other colours underneath. And you can go on and on getting these little final details in, which really do make all the difference to the realism of your piece. I can spend a long time doing this. I find it very relaxing actually, this bit once I'm starting to add these pieces. I find it quite a soothing process. This bit here is just like these folds at the other side. And I think I probably need to stop the video there and see if I can cobble 2 videos together to put it up for you. You can carry on working on this for hours and hours and hours on end. But I really do have to call a halt at some point. Just as you do when you sat here and it's time to go home. You really have to call a halt. You could add a little bit of that pale greying on these teeth, on this inner edge, because they're not going to be that white, are they? That'll give you some more realism. And you can just keep going round after that and sharpening up, sharpening up, sharpening up, and getting all your little details in. So that's it, ladies. I shall see you Thursday. Bye for now.